like two shadows in the sky. Your hair was wild, your dress was blue. We paint our dreams in every hue. City lights would fade from view, and the world felt just like new. But time it moves too fast, feeling like the years that pass. Now I hear your voice in every song. Moments we had don't last too long. I'm caught in the echoes of the night, with stars would whisper soft and bright. I'm holding on, but you slipped away, just like the dawn takes the night's last ray. I'm lost in the echoes, fading slow. Where did we go? Where did we go? We walk the streets of old downtown. You would spin around in your wedding gown. We talk about why we love, but we never questioned how. The world was young, so were we. Your hand in mine, so wild and free. Like a dream you could not see, but the pages turn too easily. Oh, time returns to dust, fading like the things we trust. Now I search for you in every face, but all I find is empty space. I'm caught in the echoes of the night, when the stars would whisper soft and bright. I'm holding on, but you slipped away, just like the dawn takes the night's last ray. I'm lost in the echoes, fading slow. Where did we go? Where did we go? Hear the songs we used to sing. In the silence they still cling. If I close my eyes, I can almost feel those perfect moments of unreal. I'm caught in the echoes of the night, where stars would whisper soft and bright. I'm holding on, but you slipped away, just like the dawn takes the night's last ray. I'm lost in the echoes, fading slow. Where did we go? Where did we go? The echoes in the night.
Hey, Brian.
Hello, everybody. Tonight's show is going to be a crazy show. I'm sure it is. But welcome to Chance's Chat. I'm Doc G, Chance McFadden. Fascinating Brian just joined us, and the great Wyatt here tonight with entertaining news, because this is part of the entertainment that we do. This is Chance's Chat.
Guys, we're going to talk about a lot of things tonight, but I'm going to turn things right over directly to Wyatt, because he has information that he wants to give out, and then we will talk about the intel that I have at the end of the show. So go ahead, Wyatt. It's all you, brother.
Okay. Well, some people know, some people don't. But in 2014, I served Queen Elizabeth II, who's now dead, with a notice of lawful rebellion, which essentially sees Commonwealth of Australia and everything with Australia. So from top to bottom, every piece of paper they've ever written on, every piece of paper they're going to write on, has all been seized by me. I'm the lawful holder in due course of Australia. And there's been a lot of talk about President Trump, taking over Greenland, taking over the Panama Canal. Australia is an undisclosed territory of the United States to the general public, but we all know that when they commissioned the USS Canberra in Sydney in October 2 years ago, that was a sign to the military that Australia is actually a territory of the United States, because under Admiralty law, a ship of war cannot be commissioned outside of that country's own territorial waters. So that means that Australia is actually a territory. Now, because of the executive orders that President Trump has done with, 138488, and all of the others that he signed, seizing property from the corrupt elite involved in human trafficking, corruption, etc., like that, that put him in a position to seize assets from deep state operatives worldwide. Now, in 2018, he went over to England, and you might remember when he was walking around with the Queen inside there, and they had all the documents out there. That was when he took America back. It took and dissolved the Act of 1871. The corporation is dead. We're going to get into that soon, insofar as what's going to happen with this inauguration, or is it actually going to happen? These are the questions that we're going to address tonight, I think. But I've got to tell you, being that I am first in time, President Trump has to talk to me, and I necessarily sent him an email through Chance up through the military chain of command yesterday. And so I've asked for President Trump to get in touch with me, or have his one of his generals get in touch with me, who is going to be doing whatever they're doing in Australia. So, because I've got to be read into the program, because that lawful rebellion has to be rescinded, and I'm the only person that can do it. So that's the news from me. Insofar as any intel is concerned, I don't really have any, other than we are really all looking at what's going to happen over the next few days. Now, starting tomorrow, the 17th, it's believed that there's going to be some sort of communications or information blackout that's going to happen. So there's not going to be much in the way of intel happening until inauguration day. The only day I think we're really going to get any intel is on the 19th, which is US time, of course. So that's Australia's 20th. That could be very well the drop of the Brunson ruling. If that happens, will there be an inauguration? We don't know, because everything's all set up, ready to go. But I would say that there probably won't be. I do know that President Trump will, if that happens, President Trump will be instated as the sitting president under the Republic, and he will not be inaugurated until the 4th of March. Right? But it all is hinging on Brunson, from what I can understand. The other bit of great news that I've got for people in Australia is that the X49 patches, the LifeWave patches, are now available in Australia. So get in touch with me if you need to get patches. Sign up. And just remember, next month I intend to give a membership, a distributorship away. All right, with the patches, so that I can help some people. Okay. So that's pretty much it for me. I'm just going to get into the discussion with you guys. I have to leave at noon out my time. So that's 20 minutes away. So we'll have that discussion now, if you like, Chance.
All right. Hey, thank you very much, Brother Wyatt. We really appreciate you. There's Brother Brian. How are you?
I'm good, actually. Sleep is, how should I say, well, it's very loud at night for me, so sleep is kind of like so hit or miss. But other than that, energetically speaking, I kind of feel tapped out, but I'm still
Oh
functioning.
man, are you kidding me? Are you kidding me? Man, I've been hammered for 2 weeks. Okay,
Same,
do
same.
do I think Trump will do any prison reform? Absolutely. Absolutely, because he doesn't want the big corporations making the money off the SKKI accounts. And guess what? That'll be one of the first things that he takes care of. It might not. He may not even tell you about it, but he's. I'm going to tell you what I told a guy. I had a patriot call me from Davenport. John is his name, and he said, "Well, so and so got um, 5 years or 7 years in jail, and this one got that, and everything." And I said, if he's going to jail, he ain't gonna be in there very long, okay? Because Trump is going to put an end. I know this. I mean, I didn't have to be told. I know this because you see, some of the big corporations are running the prisons, okay? So they tap your SKKVI account because you're under the, and then they're going to fine you on top of everything else. So you get it's just like a bank loan. It's they get you on the beginning and they get you in the end. They get you on the front, they get you on the back. Okay, yeah. Oh my
Well,
God, I have a hell of a time going to sleep at night. But
that's
anyway, prison reform, you bet. What's your thoughts on that, Brian?
that's going to change the wording and everything. They're going to be known as like rehabilitation uh, centers. So
Yeah,
of course
yep.
there's going to be like different variants, like depending on the degree of um, what you're charged, because there is going to be a court. There's a court system
Yes.
even in 5D. So but the way they work is probably 10 times scarier than you would think um, from the fiscal side. Because the fiscal side, you could be in prison for life, and that would be considered short by a long run. But if these new reforms are, how would I say, similar to Demolition Man. So we'll say they're similar to Demolition Man, except they can encapsulate your source or frequency, and they can put you in a type of immersion game where you're on the receiving end for hundreds, if not thousands of years.
And you know what? It's amazing that you said that because we haven't talked about that, have we?
No, we have not.
Okay, and that's exactly the way I thought it was going to be. So basically, they're going to strap you into a chair, and somebody will be in charge of your physical needs, and they're going to have a virtual reality thing on you, and you're going to be in a loop. Now,
But it's
there's a
not fair.
huh?
They'll put you in a capsule. They'll
Yeah,
encapsulate your
you'll be in stasis.
Yeah,
Yeah,
you'll
you'll
be
be
in.
in stasis. Yeah.
It's called a like a permanent reform until you're.
Hmm.
So there's a couple things that could happen. One, you're purified from within the virtual realm because you're paying all the energetic debt by mirroring and taking, you could say, etheric. You could think of it as flagellation to the spirit body, if you think of it that way. So you're doing it to yourself because it's penance, right? And then once that energy is cleared, but of course there could be an element of astral, where from the astral side there are beings or humans that are also carefully monitoring there too, making sure that you're not a den of demons. If you're a den of demons, they'll leave you in there until all those creatures die, and then they'll toast the vessel because it's considered an empty vessel. It doesn't have any source. They'll be like, purified, we're done. And then they just, deconstruct it into just pure energy. But that's kind of like where we're going with the technology, and the severity is going to be different. So there'll be like different, levels, but I'm not sure when that's going to happen. I know that the Irma use that technology. Not all star races have that type of technology, but there are those that do. Um, yeah, that's part of the programming, to where they try and recondition if they can, help them if they can, but if they cannot, then you get purified and destroyed.
What's your opinion on that? Wyatt?
Well, I think Brian's right. I mean, I think the body will be put into stasis, and you'll be bombarded with frequencies to correct your behaviour, and that could take, I don't know for how long, but you will be in stasis for quite a while. And if you're in stasis, you won't need to be fed, right? Because everything slows right down. So,
like suspended animation.
Yeah, that's exactly what it is. Suspended animation. Yeah, but we're yet to see what's going to happen. With that. I mean, when people go on to the med beds, a lot of these behaviours that have been learned over a period of time by the not so good people in the world, they're going to be corrected on the med bed. So we could be going, so you've got to be pretty damn evil to be doing what they're going to be continuing to do to get yourself in prison in the future. That's all I'll say. So, but a lot of this will be corrected by the med beds. So, I'm really looking forward to those.
Yeah, go ahead, Brian.
I was going to say, from what I understand of the med beds, it's only related to the physical vessel. Like if you're it doesn't fix the spiritual awareness or the emotional awareness of the body. It's like, yes, imagine an alcoholic. Yeah. If an alcoholic goes in the med bed, and trust me when I this is what they'll say, what they'll tell them. They will say, I think you need to wean yourself off gradually, and then once you've done some of the hard work to wean yourself to restabilize how you feel emotionally and ethically, kind of like you have to retailor your programming and your emotion, then they'll say, then you can come back. Because if they put you in that tank, you're clean out your system, it's like quitting cold turkey. So you can imagine the withdrawals they're going to have as soon as they get out, because they're so clean. And they'll be like, wow, this is amazing. Yeah. But the moment that they go home, then the emotional and then the spiritual aspect of the body, because it doesn't remove attachments. We know what spirits are, right? Spirits are like where you link yourself to astral entities. It does not clear out the astral entities. The astral entities are pretty smart, because they're going to move away from your field. They're going to oh shit, this dude's about to get cleaned out. And they're like, all right, I'm going to step up back over here. I'm going to wait. When he gets home, he sits down, and then if he has tons of beer in the fridge, I'm going to dip my toe in his feet and get my fix.
Yeah. Brian, my understanding was that they do deal with addictions, and there is a program of counselling after the med bed. But they do cure the addiction. So, like heavy smokers, drug and alcohol dependence and all that sort of stuff, they will actually take care of the addiction in the med bed, and then there's counselling afterwards. So that's the way that I understood them to work. Maybe you've heard something different, but everything, like as we keep saying, everything that we know is speculative at this moment. Until it actually happens, we cannot be 100% certain. So, but we, the trick is to hold a positive attitude and have faith in the fact that this will be the way we expect it to be, or better.
I agree. I'm gonna talk about a few things that were popping up on the screen there. Now, first of all, this is what I expect. Whether you hear about it or not, I expect this to happen the first week after Trump is inaugurated, if he is inaugurated publicly, or if he comes back into Brunson or whatever. But here's some few things that I'm going to tell you what I'm expecting. Okay. Yes, Jody, that is right. You need to be in touch with your higher power. Absolutely, because you have to raise your vibrations in order to defeat addictions. I've got the same genes. I've got the same genes that my grandson has, and I refuse to. I refuse to give in to any desires for any drugs, alcohol, soda pop, anything that would figuratively be very bad for me. But what I'm expecting from Trump is quite a few things. I'm going to tell you what's going to happen as far as California goes.
Mhm.
California is going to have a mass exodus. Okay. There's going to be a mass exodus from California, which has already been going on for the last 5 years. And I told everybody on Kent show, I told everybody back then when I first started, you're going to see a mass exodus from California. It's still going on. Okay. And also, he brought up the Getty Museum and the Getty Library and all the bad stuff. That was in 2016. Kent brought that up. Okay. So he was dead on, right, ahead of his game and everything else. Okay. Now, besides California mass exodus, you're going to see a mass exodus of celebrities. Okay. You're going to see a lot of people. It's just like, who's talking about Ellen DeGeneres? Okay. Nobody. You know why?
He did. And that's where the mass exodus is going to be. They're all dying.
Yep.
They're all going to be.
They'll be leaving one way or the other. That's right, Wyatt. But I'm also expecting a mass exodus from prison. Prison. Because you know how your marriage contracts will be canceled, and you know how your contracts with the state and your insurance contracts, anything to do with fiat currency contracts, okay? That's going to be canceled. Well, guess what? Yes. It's supposedly, yes, Jody. I heard childhood traumas are supposedly, and some of the people in the mercy ships on the East Coast and the West Coast have already been treated very effectively with the med beds for childhood trauma because of the kids that were pulled out of the tunnels, that were raped and pillaged and physically abused and everything else. So that's stuff I know about. I know. I learned that a long time ago, and General Steve confirmed all that stuff to me. But what we're doing now is you're going to see a mass exodus from prisons, and all your fines. Okay, there was a guy that put a question up about his daughter's SBA loan. Can you pull that up?
See if I can find it. Go ahead.
I want to address that. Okay, that is okay. Danny George says, I have a question. My daughter has an SBA loan, more defined as an economic injury disaster loan. Been paying on it for 4 years, all interest. Question, will it be eliminated by NASARA? And that is a yes from everybody on this panel. Now, let me explain to you why, in my opinion, this is not legal advice. This is not lawful advice. This is me, my personal opinion. Okay? Follow me. The corporation is defunct. Why are you paying on that loan? You're paying on a loan to a defunct corporation with a currency that has no value? Tell you, if I was your daughter, this is cross the kitchen table advice. I'd say stop it. Stop that. Stop that. It's all going to go down the toilet. And mortgages. Oh, my God. I know a guy that just borrowed a bunch of money and built a house over here down the alley on the side street. Okay? And I mean, he borrowed a bunch of money. It's not a fancy house. It's a pretty nice little house. But I imagine he's $60,000 or $80,000 in debt because he had to buy the lot and he had to get all the permits and everything. Guess what? Guess what's going to happen to his loan? Poof! That's where it's going. Okay. Guess what's going to happen to anybody that has a mortgage? Poof. You know why? Because that was all written with fiat, based on fiat currency. Okay. It's with
it's
a
fraud.
every loan at a bank is fraud because it's all has to do with fiat currency. So with this in mind, you're not going to have a mortgage. You're not going to have. Yeah, thank you, Danny. You're not, and I wouldn't even be paying it now because you'd have the SBA is going to have to prove to you that their corporation is not defunct before they get any more money from me. That's what I would tell them. But are the med beds coming soon? Yes, I can answer this question. I can answer this. Wyatt and I were talking about this the other day.
We were.
Yeah, we were. I told you that the intake officer says 4 weeks to the day that Trump officially takes office to the general public. So regardless of what that is, okay, regardless of what that is, it's 4 weeks to the day that they are going to be made public, and the humanitarians will have about 4 to 6 weeks to get their people in there, because each humanitarian, I will have 5 people, Wyatt will have 5 people, Doc G will have 5 people, Brian will have 5 people that can go in with him on the medbed appointments. So now here's a good one. Joey's putting this up now. He says, will there be a lot of arrests at local governments, such as lawyers, judges, politicians, cops, and martial law is announced? Military will step in immediately? Yes. Yes. And guess what? It's already started.
Yeah. I'm
It's
feeling like a bobblehead. I'm already starting to feel like a bobblehead with some of these questions.
Yeah, I know. Okay, what's going to happen to our assets? An example, a house that's paid off. You're going to get a title to it. You're going to get a title.
Yeah, you'll get the title, but the thing is, everything, the mortgage, the loan, everything, it's an entry in a ledger. That ledger is going to be zeroed. That's the easiest way to explain it. Yep.
Yes.
And you'll get your title. You'll get your title back. You'll get the paper title, not the electronic one.
That's right. You will get the actual title, not the certificate of title that we call in the United States, which my title to my house is about that thick. Okay.
Yeah.
But it's got the abstract and the deed and everything like that. But there's only a certificate of title. There's not the real title. And the real title is called an alloidal title. And the circuit city clerk is holding them all because we are all children, dead children, and we are not to be trusted with that under the corporate mentality. Okay. What will happen to the savings we have in the bank? Oh my God! Do you guys have to answer that?
Okay.
Wyatt, answer that. You got this.
Your money in the bank is fiat, right? The only money you will have is from your QFS account when that happens, right? So, that's my alarm. So anyway, the thing is, it will change over. Everything has to change over to gold backed. So when the new currency comes in, the money in your bank will be gold backed, but the fiat will be gone. So let's not stress the little stuff here. One final point that I've got to do before I go. Insofar as the title is concerned, there will be an electronic copy that will be kept by the government because it's in the QFS system and in the blockchain so that it is secure. So that when you sell your house or your property, that gets done instantly on the QFS. It's quicker than clicking your fingers, right? So, there's no need for conveyancing and getting a lawyer and all that. You pay for it. That guy accepts the price, or whoever accepts the price you're offering, they get it into their bank account. It's noted in there what it's for. Bang, done. It's your house. You can give, 14 days or 28 days to get out. But, but there's no need for escrow accounts involving lawyers and accountants and all that, because it's just waste. Anyway, I have to go, Chance. I will watch the rest of this video after the fact.
Okay,
But,
thank you
guys
for
have a great
joining
day.
us. We appreciate your information and input.
Take care,
it's
Wyatt.
unfortunately, I have to go to a medical appointment, so it is what it is.
Blessings,
All right.
brother.
Great show, guys. Okay,
Blessings.
bye now.
See you, Wayne.
See ya.
So, Chance, let me say this while Wyatt leaves. So, what I heard, I don't know if you heard this or not, but Trump is going to make everybody sovereign citizens, which means everything that you said underlying will be that. Is that what you heard?
Yeah, but let me explain one thing to you. Okay. Yes. Okay. First of all, the term sovereign citizen is an oxymoron. It's a contradiction. You cannot be a sovereign and a citizen at the same time, because a citizen,
Right,
a sovereign is a king on his own land, and a citizen is a slave. So you cannot be a sovereign citizen is an oxymoron. It's a term you don't want to use, but
it sets itself off right. I get it. A sovereign.
Yeah, sovereign. You be a
Sovereign.
sovereign. Well, it's probably because that has gotten such a crazy reputation. I think what you're going to be, everybody's going to say, "Well, I'm a state national. I'm a state national." That's going to be the term that everybody's going to be using. Of course, I'm a state national. I have got something here I want to read to you guys. Brian, hear your opinion on this is going to be interesting, because it's this. When I read this today, I'm trying to find it. I can't find it. Where is it at?
That's okay. While you're looking at that, I want to give thanks
Go
to
ahead.
all people that just don't like what I say. Seriously, your opinion is, I do appreciate it. I appreciate seeing everything that you wish to throw at me. It's great. I love the diversity. So again, I have no hard feelings. You do you, and I do me, and we can all get along just fine.
Absolutely. And Brian, do you want to say anything about your book here, since we're
Yes. So I want to thank the people that actually funded and assisted me with the project. So I was finally able to contact the person that is going to get the team together to help revise and produce the book, create a cover and get the advertisement. I did finish it. So I just need probably 1 or 2 revisions and again, the title, I'm not changing the title. I'm sticking with the title. It's called Chronic Migraines. The Cure is Your Hard Work the Holistic Way. And I'm very excited. And it's like no more than 29 pages. It has to be a short read. And it's more like a memoir. Okay. It's based off of my own personal experience. It's based off of what I had to do and how long it took, the time, list of tips, tools, everything. Just about everything is in there. And with keeping it within the limits of a short read, right? Because it's the type of book where you're going to scratch your head, again, because not everyone agrees with my language. Not everyone understands what I say all the time. And that's fine. It's really fine. So, but it's very informative. But if you guys want to fix yourself, you're going to have to do hard work, or you can continue a perpetual treatment. Okay, so what is considered a treatment? Anything can be considered a treatment, including LifeWave patches. Okay, it is a medical tool, a medical device. It still treats underlying symptoms physically. I cannot emphasize physically enough. Physically. That means you could still fall under where you're going to keep eating the same foods that trigger migraines or headaches until you just say, I had enough. And then you don't touch it ever again. And that's when the change is from the physical and metaphysical side where you're actually showing growth in your journey. So again, the last thing I had to do was do the acknowledgement page, and I was very excited to have everyone's names, and I put them in there, and I have nothing but love and gratitude and respect for all those that really stepped up to help me. So you are forever appreciated and will be remembered, and I will send you guys your free copies once production is started and I see results a little bit.
All right, good deal. Ladies and gentlemen, the famous celebrity Dr. Robert Weedman from Fairfield, Iowa is with us this evening. And he is getting ready for his debut movie next year, Santa Claus, the Other Guy. Okay.
Santa Claus does not live on the North Pole.
Santa Claus, the Nuka Doctor. How's that?
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, I've been in conversation today for our website. You know, we have a website where literally you can use Dr. Wallach's protocols to figure out, you know, your health. And this is a labor of love by Marvin Ropp, who has worked very closely with Dr. Wallach through the years, and Ray Dubček. Ray Dubček was he and his wife had an only child, and he had muscular dystrophy, and he passed away. 2 months later, he found Dr. Wallach and figured out that he could have saved his life and had a normal life. And he was so upset over that he is a high-level programmer. I mean, he works for companies that program for Walmart and some of these big box stores and stuff like that. I mean, he is a high-level programmer, and he has literally put millions of dollars of effort into this website. And Marvin Ropp, who is my senior business partner, has interviewed Dr. Wallach. Now, I interviewed Dr. Wallach also, and I'm on film, but that hasn't been posted on the website yet. This was mainly for chiropractors, for professionals. We had some professional level consultations with Dr. Wallach. And so, the purpose of this website is to actually help people. You know, the medical industry, we talked about medicosis, how they use conversational hypnosis to try to get people to follow through with their protocols. And this medicosis has been through movies and through Hollywood for years and years and years, promoting this ridiculous concept that a medical doctor is close to God, And the thing of it is that I mean, you take a look at the old West. As long as they got the bullet out, it would survive. Yeah, we got the bullet out. Here it is, clink. And the anxious thing was always to get the bullet out. Well, and the truth of it is, Andrew Jackson carried 2 bullets in him for the rest of his life because they couldn't get the bullets out. And I think it was one of the presidents that was shot. I think it was McKinley was assassinated. And they actually have a Smithsonian Institute has a section of his spine on display because the bullet went through his spine, actually, from the assassin. And Alexander Graham Bell apparently worked to try to get this bullet out. And he developed what eventually became, the metal detector. He invented that there, trying to find the bullet in his spine, because he suffered quite a bit at the end. He was hoping to survive, but they never could, get the bullet out. So it wasn't like on the Wild West, and so there's a lot of people on Boot Hill that never got the bullet out. Well, it wasn't, a lot of people walked around like Andrew Jackson with bullets in them from, he was noted for having a few duels, over his wife. The story is that his wife was very precious to him. She was married to some guy that was very abusive to her, and he helped her elope back to her father's house. And then later on, this guy claimed to have divorced her. So Andrew Jackson fell in love with her and married her after that. And the guy comes back and says, well, I never did divorce her. So he sued him for divorce. And so Andrew Jackson and his wife had to go down, Rachel, I think was her name, had to go down to Louisiana, New Orleans, Louisiana, get remarried. So he got married twice. She married him twice. But, in his first presidential run, they made a big deal about him being married to Rachel, and she literally, when she found out what they were saying about her, she died of grief over this. And so Andrew Jackson never forgave him for that. He was very angry over the loss of his wife because of what they did, in the presidential campaign. And but anyway, the important thing is that in the medical profession, you notice that all the drugs have these names you can't understand. You don't know what you're taking. And the truth of it is, I'm gonna stick my neck out here and say that drugs never cure anything. Now, my stepfather-in-law was a medical doctor, and he told me, he says, they're all poison. You see, the thing with it is that there's three things that a drug can do. It will paralyze, it will inflame, and it will always enfeeble the person that takes them. They cannot create a force that comes across the nerve and if you take electricity, if you have a high power line, and if you have a clothesline that's parallel to it, if you hang wet clothes on there, you can get a shock from that. And it's because of there's resonance, with electricity. Electricity doesn't just go in a straight line. It also creates an electric field that rotates. Now, one of my ancestors was a PhD way back that discovered the Weedman effect. And the Weedman effect is the rotation of force around, you can look this up, the rotation of force around a wire. Well, your nerves carry a current, and this current has resonant energy, around, to the cells. The cells are actually affected by this energy that comes off of the nerves. Okay, and you can actually measure this with Kirlian photography. It's like an aura around you. You see, and this innate intelligence that is in us. Now, in the scriptures, we hear the story, of the creation of man, and it says, "And the Lord God formed man of the dust of the ground and breathed into his nostrils the breath of life, and man became a living soul." Why the nose and not the mouth? Because at the top of the nose is the cribriform plate where the olfactory nerve comes. The olfactory nerve goes back through the olfactory nerve to the limbic system, which is the top of the brainstem. So God ignited man's life through the brainstem. Does he breathe air? God doesn't have to breathe air. God created air. What he was breathing was the breath of life, which is this innate intelligence that he placed within us. Now, in chiropractic philosophy, there is a division between the difference between universal intelligence and innate intelligence. Universal intelligence will never, it has no solicitude for the object in which it works. It just is raw energy and obeys the laws of physics. So it has no solicitude for the objects in which it works. Innate intelligence, on the other hand, never harms the structures in which it works. So we have this fight between life and death. As death approaches, as disease approaches, we have universal forces tearing things down. And and the innate forces become less and less powerful to overcome what's going on in the body. Now, hypnotists have demonstrated the power of innate. They can select certain people that they can hypnotize, and they can take this little tiny girl, put them between two chairs, and a big 200-pound man can practically jump up and down upon her back without affecting her, and just moving very little. So the power of innate is amazing power, and what chiropractic does. See, the thing with it is that what D.D. Palmer said was that all disease is either too much or too little function. You see, and that interference can do either one. So what they're trying to do with drugs is replace what the body does. It hypers the hypos and hypos the hypers. Well, the trouble with it is you're introducing a universal force into a living being instead of removing interference and allowing innate to take care of it. Now, one of the principles is the limitations of matter. Yes, if you dive off of a diving board onto a cement surface, you're going to die because you've exceeded the body's ability to adapt. The body has certain limitations. It has to obey the laws of physics. And innate intelligence will never disobey the laws of physics. If there's something happening within the body that is beyond its ability to do, you're going to get sick and die. Okay. And the thing with it is that we have something, a principle in chiropractic called constructive and destructive survival value. And as we have nerve interference or things, or let's say lack of nutrition in our bodies for a period of time, it gradually builds up more and more destructive ability. Now I'm going to use the example of the bone. The bone has three types of cells in it. It has osteocytes, which is the cell that makes up your bone. And then you have an osteoblast, which creates new bone cells. And you have osteoclasts that break bones down so that your bones are dynamic. When a man lifts weights and things like this, he's not just building his muscle up, he's building his bone up. As well, your bones have to support the weight, the power of the muscles. So you can actually tell in skeletons when people, the people who are forensic experts can tell what a man did in life by looking at his skeleton, whether he was a railroad worker or, this, because of what the bones do. They can look at those bones and see. You might have thicker cortex on, some of those bones. Some of them have, and the thing with it is that inside of those bones is the marrow that produces the red blood cells and the white blood cells. There's yellow marrow and red marrow. And the interesting thing is that a blood disease is actually a hard tissue disease because it comes from your bone. And so your bones have to be healthy. And so they're constantly being remodeled. Innate intelligence through the nerves is telling those bones what to do. It's having the feedback to the brain, and this feedback goes back to the brain, and there's something called intellectual adaptation that takes place with innate intelligence, receiving those impulses from the tissues and sending new impulses down to the tissues, and it's all vibration, and vibration is frequency. You see, and this frequency is measurable. In measuring these aura fields around people, they have actually cameras that can do that. And depending on the person they're talking to, the colors will change rapidly. So we're constantly adapting to our environment through this innate intelligence, you see. And so consequently, if you have osteoporosis, osteoporosis is a breakdown of the bone. Bones become weaker. You remember hearing stories that, grandma fell and broke her hip and then she died later. Well, grandma didn't fall and break her hip. She broke her hip and fell. And the reason she broke her hip was because of the fact she had osteoporosis. Now, osteoporosis is a condition which is a nutritional deficiency of calcium. So what do? Well, first of all, you have to take the right kind of calcium, but also you have to have all 90 of the nutrients in order to counteract, to be able to build up the bone. And you can literally rebuild bones in 16 months. You can pull somebody out of osteoporosis. And if you ever seen pictures of osteoporosis, that it's shown on our website with Dr. Wallach, on that initial video there, it shows what osteoporosis looks like. It's where the marrow is really, the cortex of the bone is really thin. The marrow is very coarse looking and so forth. And so the interesting thing is that the twofold thing in terms of what we can do for our health is stay interference free. And when I talk about interference, I'm talking about there's actually many types of interference. You can interfere with innate intelligence, and the carriers of innate intelligence is the nervous system. It flows from the brainstem down through the spinal cord, out through the nerve trunks, nerve roots that emanate from the spinal cord, passing through the intervertebral foramina and ramify to all parts of the body. And if a vertebra has lost its proper juxtaposition, and multiple vertebrae can misalign, but there's always a major, and that major has been found at the base of the skull. The little atlas up there weighs about 1/4 of an ounce, can misalign in over 28,000 different directions, and it's a 3-dimensional misalignment. It is a kink. It's the only place in the spine where that 3-dimensional kink can take place, and it has to be properly adjusted. You can't just crack it out of there. You can't just snap somebody's neck and correct it. It won't correct it. You see, you have to measure mathematically in order to replace that back to normal, and it's a painless process. You're basically balancing the person's head on a headpiece on their side, and a very gentle rectilinear force is applied that has no depth of drive, and it causes the vertebra to retrace its steps back to normal alignment. And Dr. Marshall Dickels, the late Dr. Marshall Dickels, did a research project with Dr. Bell. Now, Dr. Bell was a medical doctor that sent him over 6,000 patients and documented the changes in blood pressure. And so they did a research project through the University of Chicago to measure the differences, and they found that it was better. Correcting the atlas subluxation was better than 2 medications. Okay, so and I've spent a little time here talking about upper cervical chiropractic here, but how does that fit in with nutrition? Well, I'll tell you something. There is 2 sides of it, because even a battery that sends electricity to all parts of your engine on your car has to have proper chemicals within it in order to operate properly. Well, your body has a requirement of 90 essential nutrients that have to be in there in order to for your body to function normally. And so the idea is to utilize Dr. Wallach's protocols. And yes, starting out with the minerals is a great way to start, but you also want to fill out that protocol thing. And I'll tell you something, this website that I'm talking about, it's a little daunting to the newcomer, because you have to educate yourself. You can't just get on there and play. I mean, it's some people get on there and just kind of look around and don't see anything. Well, I'll tell you what, if you were to sit in a F-35 jet, you'd probably be pretty daunted with all the controls there. But the properly trained person can take that jet and do all kinds of things for our defense of our country. Well, I'll tell you what, if you sit inside of the cockpit of that website and do your diligence and go through it and learn it, you can literally learn not only to help yourself, but to help others. And that's what Dr. Wallach wanted when he established longevity. He wanted an army of people armed with this knowledge where you can take care of over 900 different deficiency diseases. Now, a little example of some of the things that can happen with this. There was a man that Dr. Wallach and Marvin were working with in Indiana. By the way, I met one of their proteges over there. He was an Amish man who had cystic fibrosis or muscular dystrophy. I think it was cystic fibrosis. Well, you're not supposed to be able to survive beyond a certain age. There he was standing in front of me in full health, and he has a business where he markets puppies. Very, very, very well-run place. And this is not just a puppy mill where they, have broken down barns and stuff like that. This is a very well-regulated place. It has wonderful pens for these puppies. And they have these water lines going into each one of the areas where the puppies are. And it has a nipple for them to drink out of. And they have Dr. Wallach's minerals flowing through those pipes. And it has literally, practically eliminated mortality in these puppies. And of course, they have a certain number of people that actually breed the puppies and send them to them. And they all have the same protocols. They feed them these minerals so that the puppies are healthy, and it eliminates defects like hair lips and cleft palates and club feet and things like that, where they'd have to destroy the dog. And these puppies are all healthy. I actually took pictures of them, videoed them, and beautiful dogs, just wonderful, wonderful dogs. And I think that Chance can tell you what effect the minerals has on dogs.
Right. Lexi Joe, she died a couple of years ago, but she was dying, and we could tell. And so we put her on the minerals. We put her on the longevity minerals, the liquid minerals. And I put it to her in her water, and I actually opened her mouth and sprayed them in with the spray bottle. And I'm big on spraying the face and the body and everything, but I'll drink a couple shots in the morning. But anyway, Lexi was we got Lexi about an extra 6 months of life, and and I kept the minerals right now. I fed her at 4:00 in the morning every morning because she just, she was not doing good, but we got her another 6 months. We got her another 6 months, and that was a blessing. And when she passed away very quickly and painlessly, and she was actually in my arms when she died.
Wow.
But we got an extra 6 months of life, and I do attribute that exactly to those longevity minerals. And I got mine in today, Doc, and getting my spray bottles together. I'm going to take a couple shots before I go to bed tonight. And I'm going to tell you what, when you drink it down, it doesn't taste that great. Okay, so don't. It really.
Well, that's what you get the cherry mints for, because the cherry mints or the strawberry kiwi, it has nice flavor to it. So
right.
It takes away that. But yeah, it's like it shrink wraps your teeth to your gums, your lips.
Yeah. But anyway, I'm gonna tell you what. I'm gonna give you a report how much my energy has starting tonight. I will start taking the minerals tonight. And I will start spraying them on me tomorrow, and I'll give you guys an update next Thursday. And we got some other stuff. Now, Doc, do we have a solid phone number that people can text you at?
Yes. Let me tell you, I went through literal hell with Verizon Wireless. I spent probably 24 hours in their office trying to get this new i16. They said, "Oh yeah, you can get an i16. You're due for an upgrade. It's, and so I said, well, I want a little more memory. Oh, well, that'll be at $9 extra a month. Come to find out, my bill came out almost triple what it was before. And I went back to him. I said, what is it? What's it going to be next month? $250.
They're
I said,
awful.
that's not my budget. And that's not what we agreed on. So I went and I got T-Mobile, and I'm happy as a clam. They got, I went to T-Mobile, boy. And boy, I tell you what, Verizon Wireless, I've been suffering for the last 5 years with their lousy, customer service and waiting on the line and talking to the Philippines I'm finally sick of it. I found out that T-Mobile is run by the Germans, and they've taken over Sprint. Sprint was started by the Southern Pacific Railroad. It was all their fiber optics. Well, T-Mobile took them all over, and now they're slated to be the ones to connect up with Starlink next. So their coverage is going to be worldwide, and it's not going to be. I mean, it's going to be amazing stuff. So, you people out there, I would love to hear back to see how many people are suffering with Verizon Wireless. I will never go back, and I'm going to walk into their store tomorrow, show them I got an i15. I didn't get an i16. And I'm going to go in and tell them, this is my new phone, and you people are fired. There was one guy there that tried to pull.
Are you going to do a Trump on him? Are you going to do a Trump on him?
Yeah, you're fired. and the thing that is that I was going to go back to discussing bones here, because I talked to a lady the other day who's on Fosamax. You know what Fosamax is? Fosamax is for people with osteoporosis. What it does, now see, remember I told you that bones remodel all the time. They're osteoclasts tear the bone down, and osteoblasts build up bone. They build new osteocytes. So the osteoclasts tear them down, the osteoblast, constructive and destructive survival value. Okay. So if a person is low on nutrients and doesn't have the calcium, and here's something else that Dr. Wallach told me when I was interviewing with him that I'd totally forgotten about. People that have migraine headaches, he says what happens is that the bones, as they lose calcium, they build up in size because the fiber has to take over the strength where the calcium's missing, and it's called Paget's disease, and it will encroach on the nerves in the base of the skull where the spinal cord comes out. It will actually encroach on that, and you have to get on the all 90 essential nutrients, plus you have to triple the calcium intake that Dr. Wallach has, that he has protocol. You have to triple the calcium, and it takes about 18 months for that to turn around. The same thing is with any kind of neuropathy. The same thing's happening. And what he recommends is that a person get one of these reverse gravity beds where you put your feet up higher than your head. Now, you don't want to go upside down, but just elevate your feet about 6 to 18 inches above your head, and just lay there for 20 minutes every day and reverse the gravity. And then you take the protocols for bone and joint, and you can reverse that situation also. So there is interference that can be caused by the breakdown of what we call degenerative joint disease. It's where the disc actually degenerates and becomes narrowed, so it will encroach on the nerves. So a subluxation is not the only way that nerve interference can occur. It can occur as a result a degenerative change. A degenerative change in the disc in the back. So. And there is a protocol. I mean, you fill out the questionnaire, and this protocol is hooked up with algorithms that go into all of Dr. Wallach's publications. Now, there's a book online called Diseases of Exotic Animals, that was written by Dr. Wallach in this $7 million research project that he did back in the 60s and 70s. And I think it goes for anywhere from $5,000 to $17,000 on eBay. I have one of those books. It's called Diseases of Exotic Animals. But he's had over 77 publications. And this website literally pulls from all of his protocols and will literally build a protocol for you. And the neat thing is you never have to rob your piggy bank, because it's designed so that if all you can afford is a basic nutrition, you do that. And it goes in order of importance. And the more you can afford, the better, the more you take. And so you never have to rob your piggy bank in order to start with Dr. Wallach's stuff. Anybody can afford a bottle of minerals. Anybody can afford that. And you just build accordingly. So,
hey, Doc, I have a couple of questions if I can ask them.
Sure.
One question. On the migraine aspect, the formula, is it kind of like the end all cure all, to where if someone takes the product, then let's say they stop at some point, they're not going to have any symptoms or ailments? Or is it?
Well, yeah, yes. The object is to see, and the thing is that what we're setting up now, the weakness in the website so far has been the follow up, and the importance is in the follow up. Our goal is to have follow ups, and because it actually is set up to show improvements, in the person over time. So we're in conversation as to how often we're going to follow up with that, whether it's going to be a monthly or 90-day base, because see, it takes 120 days for a red blood cell to be formed in the marrow. And so it takes there's no process that does not require time. So you really have to get on these protocols and stay on them long enough for your body to heal. One of the frustrating things as a chiropractor is that people would come in and expect to have me lay my hands on them and be well tomorrow. Well, the last person that I know of that could do that walked on water 2,000 years ago, and I'm not him. And the
You're
thing
not
that is,
pardon me. I was like, you're not a Reiki master?
Yeah. And the thing that is that, I mean, if you take care of the body as it works, and give it the time it needs and be reasonable about it, it is going to this innate intelligence within it is always going to be constructive. And the idea is to remove interference. The body needs no help, just no interference. Right. And so the concept is that give it everything it needs and it'll do wonderful things. Remove the interference, it'll do wonderful things.
Doc, do you have a phone number that we can have people text you for?
Yes,
another
I
problem?
have.
Let's put that up on the screen because we got intel. Just came in.
Okay, 406 270-3754. And since I am with a new company now and with a reliable company, I can put that up with confidence. Just text Chances Minerals at that number, 406-270-3754.
Well, we want to thank you for coming on tonight, Doc. It's really appreciated. And you gave a lot of great information, and we've got some more stuff that we have to cover. So we'll see you in a couple of weeks when we invite you back, okay?
Yeah, I just want to say one more thing about Fosamax. What it does is it paralyzes the osteoclasts so that it can't tear the bone down. See, if it's not building it up, then they want to stop the tear down, which makes the bones brittle, which is ridiculous. So there you go. Bob's your uncle.
All right. Bob's your uncle. Thank you very much. We appreciate you.
Good seeing
you. No, thank you very much for having me on here.
Okay.
Been a joy.
Thank
Guys,
you,
we got intel, and thank you. Okay. I got some intel, and this came in. This came from the intake officer, and he obviously it's a post on X, I believe, and the information reads: the reevaluation of the Iraqi dinar, the IQD, to $3.47 against the U.S. dollar took place on December 19th, 2024. This move was part Iraq's efforts to stabilize its economy and improve its financial infrastructure. Okay. Does this revaluation align with what you were expecting, or are you surprised by the timing? That was written out by AI. And then it continues on to say, when will the public be able to trade? Now, wait a minute. I didn't say redeem. I said trade. Okay? Didn't say redeem. The public will be able to trade the Iraqi dinar, IQD, starting February 1st, 2025. Now, that means the revalued IQD for commerce. This will allow individuals and businesses to buy and sell currency on the open market, which could lead to increased economic activity and investments in Iraq. Okay, now, so that means before February 1st, the RV has to be finished. That's what I get out of it. Okay, that's pretty significant. Now, the last update I got directly from him was the bank advises bondholders, also known as redeemers, will have asset liquidity between January 20th and the 24th. Today is the 16th. This is pretty good information. Okay? Now, and that goes right along with what Wyatt was saying, because he said, well, actually, the Brunson case is not irrelevant, Larry, and the reason I say that is because people need to know the truth. So when the Brunson case comes out, it's going to help wake up a lot more people, and they're going to know the truth. Okay? It will come out in disclosure, and it will be significant. And one thing I'd like to talk about is the erasing of the Brandon administration. The erasing of the Brandon administration starts when Trump is sworn in. And you are going to see so many executive orders going through and reversing. And I'm going to tell you what, I guarantee you he's already got them already printed up and ready to rock and roll. So what you're going to see is things happening very, very quickly. Brian, what is your opinion on this timing and everything that I've talked about tonight?
It couldn't happen fast enough. That's my question. Like, can it happen any faster, please? So, Mike, my
yesterday
take,
would have been good.
It really would have been. In the scope of things, I don't, in my personal opinion or honest opinion, none of this has to play out the way it's been playing out. It really doesn't. But I think I've kind of always understood this is just part of catching. It's like everyone on it like has fishnets, and they're like trying to catch all these insects like in a bayou, and that's basically what it's all about. And then they get them on dry land and they squish them, and they're like, okay, well, I know that some of these eggs are going to hatch and another insect's going to pop on. I'm going to need to be ready to catch it so I can squish that too. So that's kind of like how I feel as to like what I am kind of seeing. And that's why it's so, dragged out. And it's, yes, I think it's utter BS because it means for me personally, that we really have a lot of children on this planet. We don't have people that act in a very grown up way as an adult that has wisdom. And many of you need to probably think about the idea of wisdom too. So, what is like wisdom in general, right? How do you exhibit wisdom? How do you speak it? Because it is a different language altogether. When people that you listen to that has a wise vocabulary, that speak very objectively, and they're not pointing or poking and saying, you're wrong, you're this, you're that. No, they are giving you a very outside looking in perspective with a voice, and a voice that carries greater weight than the ones that are actually pointing the finger and everything is tit for tat. And the reason why I feel this energy and I understand it is because there are a lot of kids here, consciously speaking. And even when I look in the comments, I see many of them are very childlike, even though they could be 50 or 60 years old, because they behave like children. And I don't want to be that idea. I'm here because I want to get people to adopt. Again, this is something that is choice driven, right? You, as your own personal journey, to adopt and embody a greater caliber of a human. Not for me. You want to do it for you so you can show and demonstrate through action how you represent yourself, right? So if you're someone that has integrity, that is transparent, that is honorable, that has a not, I would say, kind of like a prestigious, energetic air about you, right? Kind of like you're drinking tea with your pinky up, so to speak. So you have this elegance within your language. You have this elegance about your introduction and how you negotiate, navigate each other equally, right? No, we're not trying to do tit for tat. We're not saying get right with God. We're not saying you're going to burn in hell. It's none of that, because none of that matters. So hopefully when things change and shift for the better, I'm hoping that there will be a greater educational structure, because humans really need to learn a different idea to be something that they've really never had the opportunity to be. And it's not to say it's your fault as a human. It just has to do with how the stage was set for hundreds of years, even thousands of years, unfortunately. I mean, the fact that these very nefarious beings were very clever, especially with keeping us demineralized, lack of minerals, lack of salt, right? And then they can put nanotechnology in you, where they take over your innate ability, meaning they robotoid you, robotize you to where they're behind a programming keyboard, they're sending a non-organic electrical current from your spine, generating imagery and ideas, nefarious technology, and you're doing exactly what they want. All because You didn't pay attention. You didn't understand minerals. You didn't understand salt. You didn't understand water. You need all of that for your toroid, your electrical current. You cannot live without it. And yeah, I wanted to ask a question to Dr. Weedman. I was like, so if there are like any case studies where if a human body is depleted of all its salt, how would it operate? If it was depleted nearly, let's say it had only 1% of the minerals, how would it operate? And I mean, consciously speaking, would it be more like a zombie? Would it just be basic motor skills where they're just kind of like walking and trudging along with brain fog, and there's nothing working within the motor and sinking in and aligning electrically wise with all the other, hardware to keep it functioning? But I'm glad you came back, because maybe you can answer that. Doc?
Do you want me to answer that?
Yeah, please, because I'm curious if there's like a study.
Well, Dr. Wallach has if you go to the website and get in there, he has several lectures where he answers all those questions. For instance, he had I remember sitting in one of his lectures, and he shows this line of people, like about 16 people standing beside each other, naked from the waist up. It was all men, and they were all missing their right arm. They were from a single village someplace in Russia. And this had nothing to do with Chernobyl, by the way. And he said, now, what mineral is missing here? And people raise their hand, well, this mineral, that mineral. He says, all of them. You never think about supplementing just one mineral. You give all 90 essential nutrients. But there was a mineral missing in that village. For instance, to give you an example, seeing that the thing with it is that if you know Dr. Wallach's history, he was involved. He first of all was sent to Africa to work on the White Rhino project, and he was sent there by Marlin Perkins, who he worked for as a teenager in a zoo. You remember he was on Mutual of Omaha's Wild Kingdom,
Right?
And he sends a telegram down to Dr. Wallach in Africa, wanting him to come back for this research project. He sent him 2 or 3 telegrams. He puts them up on the mantle above his fireplace down there, and then says, "Well, maybe I ought to read these." And they were all pleading for him to come back and do this research project, because he was the only comparative pathologist between animals and humans. So they brought him back, and he did over 3,700, I think it was, autopsies on humans surrounding these zoos, and on the animals in the zoos. And this is because somebody in Japan, in Minamata Bay, had dumped a bunch of mercury into the bay, and it affected the fish, and people, of course, ate a lot of seafood and ended up with a lot of birth defects from that area. And so they became aware of and concerned about pollution. If you remember, pollution was a big concern in the 60s, you see, and there was a whole generation of people that were worried about pollution. So he did the autopsies on over 17,500 animals and over 3,700 humans over a certain period of time. It was like a $7 million research project, which would cost billions today. They could never do it. And they would never do it because of what he found out of that thing is that pollution was not the big deal. Mineral deficiency was. Vitamin and mineral deficiencies. For instance, and see, after he was in that project, he worked for Yerkes Primate Center down in I forget where it's at, but they would test monkeys from NASA. Now he and the director of my light just went out here. The director of the Yerkes, went off to get some Arctic foxes because they were starting to have defects, and he thought it was because of a limited gene pool. He went off to Alaska to get some Arctic foxes, and meanwhile they bring this monkey and this rhesus monkey that was gray. Now normally they're green, and the monkey died. So he did autopsy on it and did slices from the lungs and the pancreas and the liver, and took him to 5 hospitals around there and said, he dressed up as a doctor and goes in and says, now these are slides from an infant, so many days old, and I want you to took him to the pathology department for diagnosis. They said, well, it's cystic fibrosis. 5 different hospitals. He says, I want that on your letterhead. So they sent him letters showing it was, saying it was cystic fibrosis. Then he went back to him and he says, now I want you to know this is a primate. And they said, really? You need to come to the NIH and give your paper, to show that. Because see, they would yearly have yearly meets with the NIH, and everybody that spoke, their paper was considered published then, see. And so that year, the guy came back from Alaska with new foxes, found out what Dr. Wallach had discovered that cystic fibrosis was caused by the deficiency of selenium, because he had gone back and figured out what they were feeding these monkeys, and it was deficient in selenium, and found out that it was a selenium deficiency and he had a whole freezer full of those monkeys that had the same thing as a result of the deficiency. And so they fired him on the spot. Well, he went and presented his, he was, when they fired him, he was able to take out all of his slides and all of his research and all of his papers along with him. And the slides of, one of the slides from that monkey was published on the cover of his book called Rare Earths Forbidden Cures. And it's the slide, that slide is on the diagnostic slide is on the cover of that book. It's a fascinating book. Now, there is a website that anybody that contacts me, I will send them to that website where they can buy Dr. Wallach's publications. They can buy CDs and books and things like that. The Dead Doctors Don't Lie book is a very fascinating book. It tells about the history of all this stuff. And but he also goes into he has several different books. One called Immortality, and several others that just go through and show his protocols and stuff. And it's from these publications that this website draws when you fill out your protocol. If you follow the instructions on the video and fill out that health questionnaire, you can literally pull from Dr. Wallach's papers what to do. Now, I don't know if I answered your question or not. I think I went beyond. I apologize.
No, that's okay, because in the end, I think his material is going to be very important for like school, because everyone's going to need to understand that they have more than one type of body, that they have like a spirit body, they have an emotional body, which should have been taught in school. I even asked the teacher, I was like, do you teach kids about the emotional body? Because it governs your reality. Like, from any action you take, when you become emotionally driven, that's usually where you pick a fork in the road, and then you move forward instead of being neutral in your energy, or I like to say flatlined, like the hospital monitor, to where you can be outside looking in objectively, then making a conscious decision versus being reaction within that choice. So I feel like all of it is really important, because without it, we're going to have a much harder time, I would say, being all on the same page. And it's because of all this information that has never been presented to us publicly or introduced holistically. We're going to have to change how we view as to what it means to even be a population. So I feel in my heart that there's going to be a lot of new trendy words. And one of the trendy words that I know that will come about in time is holistic society. We don't know what that looks like. It sounds fantastic. It sounds pretty liberating because everyone has better care and self-awareness in navigating all multidimensional bodies, the multidimensional you, I like to say. So it's the physical, the spiritual, the emotional, and any other layer that navigates even nature from a harmonious point of view. And for me, that's exciting because I would love to be someone that can teach that in a classroom, whether it's virtual or physically, so people can realign and tap in and to their own creativity and be a powerhouse and be able to represent each and every man, woman, and child, holistically speaking. Yeah.
You guys,
Brian,
you guys are
I'm gonna-
both just you're almost over my head. Okay.
I got a suggestion for Brian.
Okay, and I think I get that. And okay,
My suggestion is that he might be interested in this. There's a book called the chiropractic textbook, and it's in PDF form online. You can look it up, and you can literally or you can buy the book on Amazon. And I think that you will be very, very. I never realized that. I mean, this was written back in the 20s, and if you understand what it's saying, it goes right along with the laws of physics with electricity. It's just. And if you study the 33 principles, it's all about the relationship between. There's a triune of life. There's intelligence, force, and matter. And chiropractic has been called the missing link because medicine says it's all matter. What's the matter with you? It's all matter. And Christian Science says it's all mind. Well, chiropractic bridges the link between the two. It's the relationship between mind and matter, and force makes the difference. So the purpose of intelligence is to create force. The purpose of matter is to express force. The purpose of force is to unite intelligence with matter.
Okay, now you've done it. I'm completely stymied. Okay, I'm gonna have to meditate my self-worth for the next 6 hours, guys. I probably won't sleep at all. So thanks so much, But what we have is a situation going on here right now where I have to go and ask everybody their final thoughts because we are gone over our time limit. Doc G, what's your final thoughts?
My final thoughts, I have to contribute something to this first because I've been biting my lip wanting to say something. You have to think like Doc says. You have to think that when you go in an emergency room, the first thing they do is shoot you full of sodium, but they tell you not to eat a lot of salt. But they don't know, or they know, but we don't know that the salt has the nutrients our body needs to keep going. When you don't have enough salt, the body dies. That's how it works. That's the whole run of it. That's what I'm saying. But anyway, I appreciate you guys so much. I really do. I've been following Dr. Wallach for a long time. And, I wish I could get him on this radio station. I know I could blow it up with a lot of people. But my point is, follow what these guys are saying. Despite all the politics you hear, keep yourself healthy, keep your family healthy, do what you need to do. I mean, I'm taking Shilajit like Chance. I'm taking black seed oil. I'm going to start taking methylene blue very soon, ivermectin, fenbendazole, and a couple other things. So here's the thing. It's your body. You want to do what you want to do with it, but make sure you're doing what you need to do with it that keeps it healthy. Done.
Thank you, Doc. Okay, Doc Weedman, what's your final thoughts for tonight?
Well, it's I didn't mean to take over the show, but I tell you what, I love all of you, and my goal is to help people and to help educate them on how they relate to the universe, and how to keep your bodies in alignment and communicate with me, guys. I mean, send me texts and love to talk to you, Doc G, and love to talk to you, Brian, and try to help you with the philosophy side of this stuff, because chiropractic philosophy came from ancient times and all around the world. And I'm continually amazed with the truth that's in the chiropractic textbook. I study it today. There's questions in there. Each chapter has questions, and they're challenging questions to cover the material that you've had in there. And I've memorized some of it. I've memorized the 33 principles, and I've memorized the 5 signs of life and the 9 primary functions. You see, because all disease is either too much or too little function. You see, and if we can allow the body to regulate itself and remove the interference and provide what it needs, we have the innate capacity to be well, and we have the responsibility to do that. Because when you're ill, you waste a day that it can never be brought back, and you make yourself miserable and everyone else around you. And if you just remove the interference and provide your body with what it needs, you can express life and health. I raised 3 boys under chiropractic care. If they ever got sick, I took them down to the office and got them checked. And I removed the interference. And they sent them back to school. And the teacher, a kid coming back to school after he's sick, and but the teacher then became a patient, and she would get sick, come home, come down to the office, get adjusted, go back to school. And the kid said, a teacher goes home sick and comes back? Where does that ever happen? But I found that, in my scan, now sometime I'm going to talk about my infrared scanner that I scan the back with. It's called a Titron. And I'd love to have Roger Tatone get on here sometime and explain the Titron to you, because it we put off energy, and when there's interference, it falls into a pattern. And this is becoming a big study. I talked to him today. I says, what are the frequencies we're measuring? He was thinking about temperature. He says, I've got to ask my experts about that. He never considered thinking about the energy levels, the frequencies that we're measuring along the spine. So we got lots to talk about in the future. I mean, I got people that I'd like to see on here, and
we can continue this in 2 weeks, because next week's the stem cell ladies are coming on. And then and then when you come back on in 2 weeks, I will be able to give a report on how my energy level and how I'm feeling after being on the minerals back again for 2 weeks. So thank you for your final thoughts, Doc. I appreciate it. And
you're welcome.
Got to get fascinating Brian's final thoughts here.
All right. So my final thoughts are, so there's a lot of truth in the idea of mind and matter and metaphysics, but there's that other layer too, right? The ones where you are your own magician, right? Your magician. So use your words, your language to however you feel, put emotion in it, live it as the present always. And you will see even greater results layered, because each frequency spoken reverberates, hits all your cells. There's no walls. There's no barriers. You will notice it. You'll get goosebumps like I am, because it listens. Everything your own universe, the body, that is your ego, that is you, listens. Be empowered.
Thank you, Brian. Hey guys, okay, I gotta cover some things in my final thoughts. Okay, first of all, I gotta cover about 4 or 5 things, so bear with me here for a second. Janet 444 on the Telegram page has been contradicting me, saying you don't need a trust of any type when you go in for your currency exchange. Okay, let's do it your way, Janet. And how many thousands of dollars would you end up costing people you don't even know? Okay. When you go in for your currency exchange, I recommend a trust. You can use my free trust. I can send it to you. We've got it on, it's pinned in the pinned messages on the Telegram page. You can use a free trust. And instead of the EIN number, you can put your social security number. And instead of getting it notarized, you can have 4 people sign it. And that makes it a private trust. And it's signed in quorum. Okay. QUARUM, I think, is quorum, 4 people signing it. Or you can get it notarized. But and you don't have to register it with the state. A trust is a trust is a trust is a trust. Okay. If you go on our Telegram page, Raymond Lee's information is on there. It's pinned. Maria Janet for the Express Trust. It's pinned. Brother Mark, I want to thank you for the donation that you just sent. It's very much appreciated. I want to make you understand one thing about the trusts. Okay. What if I'm right? Okay, here's what I don't want to hear. This is what I don't want to hear. I should have listened to you, Chance. I didn't get a trust. I listened to that dumb woman on your Telegram page, and she said it wasn't required. And I think I lost out on $5 million. And I don't want to hear that. Okay? So, won't trust change under common law? Yes, absolutely. But this is what we're doing right now. We're doing the great transitional phase about everything. Everything's in transition. Everything that you believe is in transition. The PED Act is still in effect. It has not been lifted by Trump, and he probably won't until... Exactly, Danny. Why take a chance? I mean, you're taking a chance by coming to Chance's chat, so why take a chance? If you're going, just please get a trust before you go in. If you want a trust with teeth, get a hold of Raymond Lee. If you want an express trust, get a hold of Maria Janet. If you want a free trust, it's pinned on our Telegram page. Okay? If you want me to refer you, then send me an email and I will send you over to them. But if you don't include your phone number, we're not going to be able to do anything for you. Okay? They have enough time to do about 1 trust a day. Okay? Anybody. So, and I don't have time to do trusts. There's something else I need to address. The RV protocol papers are still available. They're $50. You can send it to a donation of $50 to $ McFadden Chance on Cash App. Or you can send, I can send you a $50 Wise account request. Okay? But here's the thing. The RV protocol papers are not going to your currency exchange appointment. You don't take them in there. You don't say, oh, look, I filled these all out and I hope I got a good grade. That's not what it's for. It's for educational purposes. Okay. I've just covered everything that I wanted to cover. Okay. So, okay, listen, what have I told you all? What have I told you all? All of you. For 4.5 months on this YouTube channel, I have told you, get your money out of the bank. Because if it's not compliant, you could lose it. I don't care whether you believe me or not. Better to be safe than sorry. Okay? And as far as your property tax, I'm not going to pay it until I have to. because that's going bye-bye too when Trump comes back in. Okay. Brian, what do you know? Brian, what do you know about the steps of spiritual awakenings? That's my daughter there. She's very short, by the way. But anyway, so you want us to talk about that? We'll talk about that next week. But this is what we call the wrap up, final thoughts. Jody, thanks for participating. Yeah, you can call Brian. You know, if you don't have his number, it's on. Put Brian's number up there.
You got it.
Okay, it's 774-208-2377. Okay, and he'll be glad to talk to you because you're my daughter. Okay, guys, listen, it's been very educational even for me. And it was nice to hear somebody else rattle off a bunch of stuff besides my big mouth. So thank you, Doc, for the education that you give everybody tonight. And we'll look forward to getting the stem cell. If you want the stem cell patches, okay, is our money safe in the Wise accounts? Well, if it doesn't, if it's not, Brian and I are going to be singing the blues.
Just smile and honor the journey. You're in it to win it. You're in it to win the game. I'm in it
to win it, big time. Yes.
There you go. That's all you have to do. Believe in it.
Yep. Because there's a lot of stuff, and I know Wyatt doesn't believe in it, but yeah, we got to go. But listen, we got to go, guys. Doc probably hasn't. Doc, have you had supper tonight, Doc?
No.
I had a taco, and it was okay. But anyway, thank you, Dr. Weedman. Thank you, Wyatt, for being on the show earlier. Thank you, Fascinating Brian and Doc G. Always a pleasure. I'm Chance McFadden, and you know who you are. And we will see you all back here next week on Chance's Chat on Hamilton Radio 1. God bless.
Bye, everybody.
Good night.
Bye, everybody.
Goodbye, everybody.
Wow.